Well, welcome to another like 5-star blue sky day in the land of enchantment. Isn't this awesome where we get to live? And bienvenidos to Valley Gardens Park. We're in it's aptly named. We're in the valley, a special part of Albuquerque in the metro, and it's a garden. It has been a breadbasket and a green garden for our city and this region of New Mexico for hundreds of years. Parks really should be part of and reflect the community, serve the community. And today we're here to extend that idea to a great new feature here in Valley Gardens Park. I just want to say we're going to hear from our mayor and from family here this morning. And this particular project, people of the South Valley and honoring their contributions to our community has been a very, very special project for Mayor Keller. He's personally involved in the creation and invested very much in the meaning of what we're doing here today. So with that, I'd like to welcome our Mayor, Tim Keller.
Well, good afternoon. It is just wonderful to be here on a spectacular day with such amazing neighbors and family. And I just want to share, I think, a couple of stories with you. The first one, of course, I was born and raised here, kind of by Del Norte High School. And like most Pequeños, it took me becoming mayor to realize this was part of the city. And so, but that's also one reason why we wanted to do this. When I first found this park, I was door knocking this is a long time ago, when I was first running, and was shaking hands at the polling place. And I remember when I was hiring Dave, I said, we're going to make sure and take care of, obviously all our parks, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, we are not going to forget Valley Gardens. That is an important part of what we have to take care of as a city. And of course, literally part of the city. And so, we've done some things with the shade structures, especially the new pavilion there. I remember what that used to look like. And we want to make sure that, as best we can, this is taken care of because it is a special place in our city. And it's also just in general a beautiful park. And this tree is absolutely such a reflection of the best of the South Valley, and all up and down the Rio Grande. And so we want to share it and take care of it for future generations. But part of that notion of taking care of this has to do with the people who live here. And of course, that's in many ways who we start by honoring Priscilla Gonzales today. And I want to tell you the origin story of this. When it was, I lose track of the years, but about 3 years ago, we decided that we wanted to start honoring community members who lived here, did things big and small, and not have so many generic like street names and park names that are just, there's some of them are just like fake names. Like they don't even mean anything. Even if they sound like they're Spanish, they're just nothing. Or they're just streets named after like a park because it's near a park. So we decided that we would actually rename things in honor of people who live there and people who did real things. And I put out a call. It was like just an announcement, like you see on the news. And actually some people took us up on it, but Eva took us up on it. And she just sent us an email, just to the email, like any other person would. It's not that we knew each other or anything like that. And we were going through all the requests for stories of us. And we saw hers, Ileana, who's here, by the way, who helped really put this together. And she brought it to me and she's like, this is a really good one. And I read it and I was like, that's what we wanted. That's what we asked the community for, was also to help us tell the story of everyday people who were heroes in their own lives, in their own neighborhood, even if we didn't read about them on the news. Even if they didn't necessarily like save a life or something that we sort of think of for, police and fire and first responders. But what they did was they helped our lives each and every day in a particular community. And I think that is what Priscilla is such a great example of. Now, we're going to hear obviously about her background with all her family here. You all know her much better than I ever could, of course. But I do just want to acknowledge that she was part of a generation that built this Valley Gardens. And what I mean by that is, I do know our history. And, this neighborhood was created because there were folks coming from rural New Mexico, in this case Peralta, who were looking for jobs, particularly around the base in that era of Albuquerque. It's actually the same time my parents moved here. And in that era, Albuquerque was booming, but the rest of the state was also kind of hurting. And so we had to create communities where people could raise families and where they could have access to jobs. But one of the ideas was we should have communities that are still in rural Albuquerque, that still have a combination of sort of urban living, but in the heart of a rural community. And of course, that's what the South Valley always has been, going back to when it was originally settled in the land grant era. And so for us, Valley Gardens is a special place. It is a reflection of modern Albuquerque in the South Valley. And of course, to make it work and to keep it safe, it took amazing families who moved here early on, like the Gonzaleses. And it takes sort of neighborhood moms to make sure that everyone was taken care of in one way or another, and that all families were welcome. And that's also part of Priscilla's legacy. So with that, I'm honored to really just share this story. And we know this is the first, and I think that's important, and it's a wonderful story to share. But obviously, we do want to share other stories of other families who've lifted up the South Valley and Valley Gardens. But today is all about Priscilla. So thank you so much, Eva, for making that happen and for giving us a chance to tell her story. Thanks so much. And I'm going to... Oh, that's my introduction to Eva. Come on up. So the woman who really made all this possible, at least in terms of contacting our office. Come on. Give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is a little terrifying, but first of all, I want to thank Mayor Tim Keller and the City of Albuquerque and all of you for being here. It's really neat to see as many of you guys here. I have a little thing that I put together, the South Valley. What an amazing place. So my husband, my kids, and I, we've lived in so many different states, and we just moved back. I was telling them we moved back like 3 years ago. And the South Valley really is special. We have culture, we have family and food, especially my mom's. So this space that we're dedicating to the people of the South Valley is so special. I had originally requested that the entire park be named after my mom, but I know that this is perfect because she wouldn't have wanted it that way. She would have wanted it just like this, where other people can share their stories and share their lives. And so I'd like to share just a simple snippet of my mom, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Priscilla Aragon Gonzales. See if I can make it through this. Better known as Precious, Mom, Aunt Priscilla, Nana, and so many more. Lita, my kids would call her. She was loving, compassionate, strong, fearless, faithful. Well, fearless, I don't know. She wouldn't get on some of the rides with me. But she was unimaginably generous. She was a wife, a mother, grandmother, sister, aunt, and friend. She was the epitome of the New Mexican. New Mexicans, especially those here in the South Valley, are hard workers, faithful, green chili cooking, family-loving, lifelong residents. I mean, my entire neighborhood, they've been here for 50 years or more. My incredible mother was born one precious Valentine's Day when her sister Luisa came home with all her Valentine's cards to share with her mom, only to find her new sister being born. Their mother passed away when she was only 2 years old, so she was raised by her father and maternal grandmother, as well as her brother and sister. She graduated from Albuquerque High, married her first husband, the late Johnny Valdez, who was in the Navy. The family moved back and forth to different states and Guam for relocation, giving birth to 5 children, right here in the front row, before moving back to Albuquerque. And then my mom met my dad, Paul Gonzales Sr., who was a single father of 4. And they married in 1980, and 3 years later, they had me, completing the set of 10. So for 42 years, my mom lived here in the South Valley. She was a hardworking mother. Not only did she work outside of the home, but also as her husband's secretary and accountant, as they kept cars in the South Valley running for over 25 years at Paul's Automotive on Isleta. While doing that, she also worked in banking and retail, and then ran the Kirtland Air Force Base Golf Course, the Officers Club, Laser Lounge, and Child Development Center. Upon retiring from the federal government, she never stopped. If she wasn't on a wonderful vacation with the family or my dad, she was making some of her delicious food. She lived her life devoted to family, faith, and service. She was part of the New Mexico Mass Choir, Women of the Word, and Ministry of Hope, where she would serve at funerals here on Raymac. And like I said, she was an amazing cook, and I forgot her cookbook. I was going to show you. We made a cookbook of all her wonderful recipes. She even made her own version of the chile relleno, and everyone loved her fudge cake. So throughout the years, Priscilla enjoyed spending time with her family, sharing laughs and traveling. No matter where she was, she always had her beautiful smile on her face and would quickly make friends. My brother said when he took her to doctor's appointments, all the workers would say, "Priscilla is here." She would remember all of their names and ask them specific questions about their children, what degree they were going to school for. And when he picked her up, they would say that she made a huge difference in their lives. My mom had touched many people's lives, and she could just connect with people. One of the guys said, "Oh, she's hit." Even when she and my dad were shopping and he couldn't find her, he knew she was talking to someone somewhere in the store. When nobody else was watching, she and my dad would drive over to Joy Junction and give on a regular basis. And so I know that there's other things that they did together that they just haven't shared with us. There was a saying that she would just give the shirt off her back for people. She was genuinely there for everyone in her life, and everyone who knew her, they felt her big heart, which is why there's so many people here. You guys all know this. But the most important thing she would do is pray. I would call her sometimes. I knew I would do this early in the morning because I was usually in another time zone, and she would still be doing her readings and her prayers, and she would share scriptures. She did share this one scripture with my brother John, and I found it in her jewelry box a few months ago. She put, Isaiah 41:10, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, and I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." I want to say, no matter what you do or what you go through, where you've been or what you've done, there's a God in heaven who wants to be a part of your life too. My mom surrendered her life to Jesus, which is worth more than anything. So I will say, no, my mom wasn't like a city councilor. She wasn't a mayor. She wasn't a high flyer. But neither are the majority of the people who live here and work in the South Valley. She is a reflection of all New Mexicans, the ones who day in and day out have lived, worked, and enjoyed and built the South Valley. So I want to thank all of you for being here, and I want to thank the city of Albuquerque for making the space for people to share their stories of their everyday heroes. Thank you, guys.